You've been told your product is your service, your skill, your business. But what if the real product is your presence? See, most high impact leaders have mastered how to produce. We know how to build, we know how to perform, we know how to deliver results. But if we're honest, many of us have lost touch with the peace, the power, and the presence that produces through us. So if you're a high impact leader who is been in a place of grinding to produce results, you've lost that peace in the process, then this episode is for you.
What's good, family? And welcome back to the Present Center Podcast. This is the space where spiritually minded, high-impact leaders learn to destroy distractions, align with God in the realm of heaven, and fortify their focus on their divine assignment here on earth. Now, here's your host, Christian F. Johnson.
Are you ready?
Then let's go. Listen, I shared this before. I'm sharing it with you. That there came a time, a moment in my life where I had achieved what most people would call success, air quotes, right? I was speaking on stages, coaching clients, writing messages, writing books that inspired others. And yet there was this quiet emptiness that I couldn't shake. See, on paper and on platform, everything looked powerful, but in private, I was performing more than I was present, and I was producing results. I was losing rest. And I'll never forget it. It was one morning after coming off the stage, a loved one told me something that really shifted things for me. It was hard to hear, but they said, it's hard to listen to you anymore, Christian, because what I'm listening to, what I'm hearing doesn't sound like your true voice, right? And I had mastered that mimicry, that mass messaging, and what other people heard. I thought that they wanted to hear from me. And when they told me this, it hit deep. And so I actually stepped back from all social media platforms and I did some real inner work. I remember sitting with God and I felt that question drop in my spirit. And, I had asked myself, so am I going to keep performing for people, being that people pleaser? Am I going to start producing from presence? And so it just shifted. It hit me in a place, and it stopped me cold, I guess, because I realized that you can do things for God without doing it with God. And that hit me as a turning point. That moment, I stopped building platforms and started building presence. That moment, it helped me understand that my product wasn't my performance. It was my alignment with God. And so let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. We'll talk about this from this perspective, from presence over performance. All right. You see, the world rewards performance. It applauds outcomes, metrics, speed. But I've learned that in the realm of heaven, it measures something that is completely different. What is it? Alignment. Right? Come on, somebody. Right? When you operate from presence, you stop forcing what should be flowing. You stop hustling for validation and you start receiving direction. See, performance says, I have to make this happen. But presence says, there's already a divine strategy from heaven that is active, and it's my job to cooperate with God to manifest it in the earth realm. Come on, somebody. You got to hear what I'm saying from there, right? Right. Performance will drain you, but presence will fill you. Performance builds an image, but presence builds impact. When you lean in and when you learn to live and lead from presence, everything begins to shift. It begins to shift. Your creativity begins to shift. Your presence shifts. Your clarity shifts. Even your results shift, because when you carry a presence, right, you become powerful in the thing that is produced through you, and that is the presence of God. Let's go scripture for a moment, okay? Let's go scripture for a moment. Jesus said, In John 15:4-5, abide in me and I'll abide in you. And I'm paraphrasing this, but he's talking about, a branch cannot bear fruit on its own unless it abides in the vine. So neither can you unless you abide in me. And so that's presence-centered principles right there. It's not about producing for more fruit. It's about staying connected and cooperating in oneness with the source of it all. And that is God. All right. And so when you start to drift back into self pressure or performance mode, I want you to remind yourself something, that your job is not to perform for God. Your job is to remain in God. Because when we remain, results become a byproduct. Hear me when I say, all right? Excuse me. When I talk about presence, I'm not just talking about being attentive, like in the moment, so to speak. I'm going beyond that. I'm talking about being present in God's presence as a lifestyle. And I believe that in this day and in this age, that's exactly what the world needs. It needs more spiritually minded, high impact leaders living presence centered lives. I'm talking about demonstrating the realm of heaven manifested in earth through our leadership. And that's why I created something that is an entire framework. And I call it the presence centered path. And this is how I realigned my life. Obviously, I connected to the I am, cooperating with God. And it's how you can too. So every episode that you will hear from me and from future guests that I bring on will connect back to these three pillars. One is destroying distractions. All right, so that's identifying and eliminating what is pulling you away from purpose, what is pulling you from the reason for which God has called and sent you here on earth. It's one of the first questions I like to ask my clients is what is the reason that God has placed you here on earth? Come on, think about that. Write it down. You might not want to put that in the comment section right now if you're watching on YouTube, but you keep that personal, right? Some things ain't for everybody right here and there. All right. We'll get there. The second thing is align with God. And so we're talking about returning to the realm of heaven's flow where peace and power meet. Come on, somebody. And I'm not talking about, when I say the realm of heaven, I'm not talking about just the place that you go after you leave earth. I believe that you have access to that realm now, just like Jesus the Christ modeled that for us, where he's fully present in the earth, but also accessing that realm of heaven. And so that is powerful for us to do. And we'll go deeper in the future on these things. The other thing you can go ahead and write down is to fortify your focus. And we're talking about strengthening your mind against the noise and self-pressure in the earth, right? While you're leading in your business, while you're leading in corporate, while you are leading in ministry, that there's that self-pressure, there's noise all in the earth. And we have to fortify our focus in the thing for which we were called and sent. And so these three pillars aren't just principles, they are practices, they are lifestyles. They are how we move from performance and pressure into presence and divine flow. So I want you to pause for a moment right here. And I want you to, if you're watching or listening, as long as you are, you're not driving right now, I want you to close your eyes. But I do want you to take a deep breath and pause for 3 seconds. Just breathe with me. And release that. And let that tension go out. And right now, where you are, I want you to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, where have I been performing instead of cooperating with God in presence? Have I been present in his presence? Where have I been performing instead of in presence? Think about it. Pause it if you need to. Write it down. It's not to feel bad. This is just to be honest and look within to have that area of acknowledgement and awareness. 2, where have I been forcing outcomes, right? More money, more clients, more members, instead of flowing in God's timing? Whoo, that hit me right there. That's it. Those 2. Pause, think about them. Be honest with yourself. Write it down, become aware. Because listen, right now, you do not need to fix it. You just need to recognize it because spirit already knows and is looking for the area of alignment, right? Because awareness is the first step back into alignment. Here's what I learned in my own journey, that when your presence becomes your product, peace and power and a lifestyle of abundance becomes your profit. Come on, somebody, right? You stop chasing outcomes and start cultivating obedience. You stop living for applause and start living from alignment. This is presence-centered leadership, my brother and my sister. This is what happens when you destroy distractions, align with God, and fortify your focus. Because when you walk in presence, nothing external or earthly can shake your internal clarity and God-given expression. Look, that's enough for now. That's enough for now. Listen, in this next episode, we're going to go deeper into the framework that I call the present-centered path and what it really means to destroy distractions, align with God, and fortify your focus so that no matter what happens in the earth, right, you are being fortified, you are being strong, and you're able to be all that God has called for you to be. And we're also going to cover a little bit of what you can expect going forward from this podcast. Listen, if this episode blessed you, share it with somebody who is ready to live present centered. I want to thank you for trusting me to speak life into you in this episode. And I like to leave you with this. There's nothing missing, nothing lacking, nothing broken within you. And my prayer is that God will bless you. Matter of fact, good, greatness, and awesomeness will continue to flow to you and through you all day long. And until next time, stay present centered.